Hi guys, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the morning after. I am your host, Sharleen Joynt, and today we are recapping episode 4 of season 15 of The Bachelorette, starring Miss Hannah Brown. And as you guys know, we start off every morning after with a Buzzys Moment. And this is brought to you, of course, by Starbucks Coffee at Home, and which you can pick up at your local grocery store. And this is a moment that I found either fun or lighthearted or interesting or just sort of a topic that I want to discuss because this is my show. The Buzzys Moment, personally, you may disagree, but this really stood out to me, was Jed admitting that his first thought in coming on the show was that it was a huge platform and could possibly benefit his music career. This is a really big deal. First, it's meta. It's totally meta to have someone on the show admit to being there for their career. This is a big deal. No one would ever have done this before. Also, it's a taboo thing to discuss. It's usually referred to in an ambiguous sort of wrong reasons way, but it really was quite literal in this moment. He was like, yeah, I've been pursuing my music career. It's really hard, and I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of why I came on here. And it reminded me a bit of when Jared admitted to Caitlyn on her season that he had voted for Britt. Remember when the guys had to vote for their Bachelorette, which was a terrible call, but whatever. It really took balls and in an interesting way ended up legitimizing the relationship there. It made you more invested in Jared with Caitlyn, and in this case, it does that with Jed and Hannah. I don't think that if Jed did not feel real feelings for Hannah, that he would ever have admitted to this. So it really just makes you take their relationship more seriously. I also think it's super smart because it nips in the bud what everyone was going to say about him anyway. I even said here on the morning after night one, I was like, oh yeah, here's the musician, the guy that's performing on night one. Like, gee, I wonder why he's here. And he's basically saying, yeah, that's why I was here. I did do that, but I fell for the girl, which adds an interesting twist to it all, and again makes you just take him and their relationship way more seriously. And so that was my Buzzys Moment of episode 4. Now, moving on, as you guys know, we always go in chronological order here, and so we're going to start with Jed's one-on-one. There's a lot of Jed. The theme of the date here was effortlessness. It felt natural, it was easy. They talked about gelling together. They both mentioned being able to be themselves. Later on, Hannah even says, I feel super lucky to have Jed in this with me. And this really stood out to me because this is obviously referring to the entire experience, and it already feels like he's her partner in this. That really stood out to me. I feel like Jed could be the one to beat, but I'm still holding back a bit just because his only one-on-one time on night one was him serenading her. Again, wrong reasons. So meanwhile, someone like Peter has all the same amount of one-on-one time shown, but he also had that night one-on-one time shown. So that's the only reason that's giving me a little bit of pause with Jed. However, this is a serious front runner. I mean, it's yeah. He's sticking around for a while. Okay, so next we have the group date, and obviously the big thing here was between Luke P. The Battle of the Lukes is the theme of the date here. First of all, I grew up with a father who played rugby. He doesn't anymore, but there are photos all over the walls of our house of him playing rugby and like in action, and photos with his fellow rugby players. He loved rugby, and I now understand why he doesn't have great knees, because oh my God, what a violent sport. I did not realize just how violent rugby is and how, there is no protection. I guess I just didn't really think of that, the lack of helmets and pads and all that stuff. And of course, the guy is introducing it as such a violent sport, talking about people's legs hanging off by their skin. It was just like, it was really kind of gruesome, and it gave me a new appreciation for just how violent the sport is. Obviously, Lucas is in the right here. There's not even anything to discuss. I went back and watched the tackle. We didn't get a great shot of it, but it was clear that it came sort of out of nowhere. Luke P, I mean, what is there to even say here? The relationship between him and Hannah is clearly nearing its end. What healthy relationship, this early on is all about the girl telling him how to behave and asking for explanations and him defending himself. And there's just the only thing that they really had in the first place was chemistry and attraction to each other. And they haven't even really kissed in the last 2 weeks, which I think says a lot. Yeah. I don't really see this one lasting a lot longer. We got some interesting one-on-one time with Garrett, who told her that he was crushing on her hard. I thought this was cute. And he even admitted that he has a hard time with vulnerability, and that even saying that, which was cute, that it was uncomfortable for him to even say that. I really like Garrett. I really like his commentary. I like his little face expressions. In general, he's the season's voice of reason. That said, and I know I'm not one to critique on-screen kisses, this was a notably bad kiss, in my opinion. It's so bad that it's keeping Garrett from my top 4. He would really have to change, something would have to change drastically for Garrett to make my top 4 based on his kissing alone. Because other than that, I really like them together. But it was just like, I wasn't into it. I didn't feel like she was into it. It was, yeah, it caught my attention in a bad way. And in a weird way, one more thing about the group date is I kind of liked, weirdly, seeing the angry side of Luke S, because we just haven't seen a lot of him, and he does seem just to be a little more in the shadows, kind of more of a wallflower, has what would seem like a meek personality based on his edit, but then here we really got to see his backbone and just more of his personality. He's super well spoken, eloquent, seems really cultured and educated, not backing down, just things that, just good things. It's a shame that it would all have to all be in the context of dealing with someone like Luke P, because I don't think anyone can win that battle. You just sort of have to walk away. But, we, as a pro, we got a bit of Luke S, which I have enjoyed, to be honest. Okay, Tyler. Ooh, Tyler. Okay, I love Tyler. I haven't crushed on a Bachelorette guy in a very long time, very long time, since before my season, in a way that I am on Tyler right now. The way Tyler looks at Hannah is like, he just likes her so much. You can see it. They talked about in their first one-on-one time shown, which was episode 2, she talked about how he's like locked in, and you can really see it. He's really engaged, and it feels like he's seeing her, not just listening to her, which is a big deal. I mean, women notice this, men notice this. It's something you either have or you don't, and he just has it. I just like his style with her, his way of speaking. He has good game, but it feels sincere. I like that Hannah touched on him seeming like a player, because it gave him the opportunity to sort of just share more about himself. What I like about Tyler is I do feel like he has the ability and maybe a past of having been a player, but he doesn't need to. Here's the thing, I feel like he's good with women, and therefore he doesn't need to say things that are not true, if that makes sense. So him being as effusive with Hannah as he's being, it really does feel sincere. It doesn't feel like shtick, because I don't think he typically needs to even do that with women, if that makes any sense. I'm not sure if that came out properly, but that's what I meant. Yeah, I also love how this goes seamlessly from fun and flirty and early stages to feeling like boyfriend, girlfriend, I'm having a hard day, I'm gonna help you through this. It's just got a really good balance. I love Tyler and Hannah together. Big fan. All right, rose ceremony. This was cute. Peter asked Hannah to be his girlfriend. Super cute. I kind of can't remember if we've ever seen this before. Has anyone ever asked someone to be the girlfriend, boyfriend before? I don't recall, but tell me if I'm wrong. I don't remember. More on Luke P. Of course, Mike gets involved. I like Mike, and I agree with him here. I wish he would hold back a bit, just because last week with Cam, he once again was sort of, the voice of justice, and I kind of think that he needs to lay a bit lower with that, because his entire presence on the show is becoming more about being that righteous guy rather than being a potential romantic lead for Hannah, which is a shame, because I actually really like Mike and like him and Hannah together, but it's now just becoming about him. And here's the thing, I agree with him. I just think you have to pick your battles, and he picked his battle last week, so let someone else pick the Luke P battle this week, because apparently there are a lot of guys that are willing to do that. Speaking of which, Dylan says, and this is my closing thing, I've never disliked anyone more in my entire life. This is very telling. It says a lot about who's to be believed in the Battle of the Lukes, and as if there was any doubt, really. And, where there's smoke. All right, you guys, thank you for tuning in to the morning after, and be sure to read my Flare recap, which is out now, my Pretty Pandas recap, which will come out later, and yes, I will see you guys here on the morning after.